chemical kinetics deals with rate of reaction predominantly. In thermodynamics, we saw a reactant will give you product. It doesn't tell you how fast it gives or how slow it gives, whereas kinetics doesn't decide which product is more stable or not. It is going to tell you how fast it is going to go to the product side. Most of the time, they both end up in the same area, whereas sometimes there is a thermodynamically stable product and kinetically stable product. We have seen this in organic chemistry more so. Okay. Now, when you take a chemical reaction, let's pull up the graph that we did in chemical kinetics. A reactant giving you product. The concentration of the reactant goes down as the reaction goes. Okay. And the concentration of product goes up. So this is product, this is reactant. So what we see here is the reactant gets consumed, product gets formed. This is straightforward. Obviously, whatever I start with gets consumed. But also we see that the rate at which initial rate is very high and it keeps going down as the time goes. This is an equilibrium process. Okay. In a non-equilibrium process, this pretty much goes to 0, this goes higher. So the initial rate is always high because collisions are high. Collision theory will explain it. We will see that as a separate lecture. Now, initial rate is high. As you keep going down, the more and more products are formed, less and that reactants are left over. So a reactant molecule meeting another reactant molecule is going to become very, very difficult. So the rate goes down. Now, what is rate? Rate in general is any measurable quantity, how much has it changed over a given period of time. This is what is rate. In chemistry, what you are going to deal with is change in concentration over a given amount of time. There are two ways you can do rate. For example, if you take a reactant, this is time, this is concentration, a reactant concentration goes like this. Now, if you just look at one particular instance or a very small narrow region of time, that's called instantaneous rate. What is the rate at which particular instant? Whereas an average rate is over a period of time. So, for example, if you take instantaneous rate, you can get it from the tangent from that point. Average rate is nothing but you look at a change in concentration from here to here over this is delta concentration over delta time. So this is average, and for the most part we are going to be dealing with only average. Now what all do we know is a rate is basically change in concentration over time, but a rate can never be negative. Rate can never be negative. Now what we can do is I can write the rate in terms of reactant delta R by delta T, but change in concentration is negative. So whenever you use a reactant, you put a negative symbol in the front so that the rate is always a positive quantity. Or we can also say change in concentration of product over a given amount of time. This is straightforward. Let's look at a given example here. C plus NO2 gives CO plus NO. It is a balanced equation. Now I can write rate as change in concentration of C over a given amount of time, but it is negative because it's going to be consumed, which is going to be same as negative change in concentration of NO2 by delta T, or products are formed, so positive change in concentration of CO over delta T, or positive change in concentration of NO over delta T. This is pretty straightforward. Okay. So your reactant gets a negative symbol, product gets the positive symbol, you can equate all of them. This is too simple. Let's look at a different example right now. I have chosen a redox equation, just a quick refresher. Mn is 7 plus going to 2 plus, that is 5 electron process. 5 times 2 is 10 electron process. Mn goes from 7 plus to 2 plus, so Mn is getting reduced. It's an oxidizing agent. Okay. So it is getting reduced, 10 electron process. I minus going to I0, 1 electron process, 10 I minus going to 5I2, 10 electron process. So it is balanced. Now if you were to write the rate of the equation, you can write it as, in terms of reactant, I can say delta of MnO4 minus divided by delta T minus, because it's used up, equals minus delta of H plus divided by delta T equals minus delta of I minus concentration divided by delta T. That should be equal to positive delta of M12 plus divided by the same time interval, that equals positive delta of H2O divided by delta T, that equals positive delta of A2 divided by delta T. But now the tricky part here is, in our previous example, one carbon reacts with one NO2, giving you one NO and one CO. Whereas here, for every 2 Mn that is used up, let's say for example, in 10 seconds, 2 Mn is used up. In that same 10 seconds, 16 H plus is used up. So for every 2, I use 16. So how do I equate it? So what I do is, I just do 1 divided by 2. So for every 2, let's say in 10 seconds, so how about every 1 divided by 2, right? So I do 1 by 2. Here I do 1 by 16. So basically what you do is you divide by the coefficients. Here 1 by 2, 1 by 8, 1 by 5. Now let's see whether logically it helps out. For every 2 MnO4 minus that is used up, I form 5I2 in the same time. Every 2 forms 5I2. So I can say every 1, that will be 5 by 2. So the relation is 2:5. The relation for this one is the same. Writing them in terms of any one concentration. So I can write down delta MnO4 minus concentration by delta T equals, what is it in terms of others? So minus, and this is minus, so if this is plus, this is also plus. The change in concentration of MnO4 minus compared to change in concentration of H plus. The relationship was 2:16. So you can take the 2 here and say 2:16. Multiply by the 2. So this equals this, 2 goes over there and the negatives cancels out. This equals 2/10. So I minus divided by delta T, or I can also write minus half of this equals plus half of this. Okay, so I can write it down, minus delta Mn2 plus divided by delta T. This does not change what's reactant, what's product. This is just a mathematical side. This would be 2 by 8. This has a minus. I didn't put a minus here. So this will get a minus. Minus 2 by 8 delta H2O by delta T equals minus 2 by 5 delta I2 by delta T. Straightforward, and this has come in neat. They can actually relate this to one option, second option, third option, fourth option. One of the option could be right and all the other 3 could be wrong, or 3 of them could be right, one of them could be wrong. Straightforward. And you put a delta if it is an average reaction rate. You put a smaller case d if it is an instantaneous reaction rate. That's all. Smaller d of this divided by dt will be 2 by 16, d of H plus over dt, so on and so forth. So again, this is pretty straightforward. How else can we write rate of a reaction? We can write it through a rate law. We can say, for example, N1A plus N2B gives you M1C plus M2D. N1, N2, M1, M2 are coefficients, A, B, C, D are reactants and products respectively. Now we can write down rate, for example, as minus 1 N1 delta A by delta T concentration equals minus 1 by N2 concentration of B divided by delta T equals positive 1 by M1 delta C by delta T equals positive M2 delta T by delta T. This is what we just saw. We can also write it as rate equation as a rate law. Rate is proportional to concentration of reactant raised to the corresponding rate is proportional to concentration of the reactant raised to the corresponding orders. Okay. Now x and y need not be n1 and n2. Okay, they can be, they don't have to be. X and y are what is called order of the reaction with respect to A and order of the reaction with respect to B. Now x and y can only be determined experimentally. You cannot look at the equation and say it. Okay. The only time when you can look at the equation and say if you know the mechanism. If the mechanism is given, then you will be able to say. Basically, rate law says rate is proportional to the active mass of the reactants raised to the corresponding rate. So, raised to the corresponding order. Now, obviously, proportionality can be taken away using a proportionality symbol. A smaller case k, uppercase k is for equilibrium. This is a smaller case k, a to the power x, b to the power y. Okay, this is called a rate constant or a velocity constant. Velocity is the rate at which the reaction is happening. Now, what happens at concentration of A equals 1, B equals 1? What happens when A and B equals 1? Rate equals K. Okay. So, the rate constant is nothing but the rate when the concentrations are unity. So, because of this reason, K is also called specific reaction rate. This is another name. Rate equals rate constant times reactant to the power, let's say x. Just taking one reactant, just for simplicity. Now I can say rate constant equals rate divided by reactant to the power x. Units of rate constant is molarity to the power 1 minus n second inverse. We can also write it as moles per liter to the power 1 minus n second inverse or liter per mole to the power n minus 1 second inverse. Needless to say, only couple of them you want to know. For a zero order, first order, second order. For a zero order, n is 0. Okay, n is order here, n is 0. So, 1 minus 0 is 1. So, 0 order, it is going to be molarity per second. For first order, n is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So, m to the power 0 is 1, is gone. So, it is just second inverse. Second order, it is going to be molarity inverse, second inverse. Third order will be molarity to the power minus 2, second inverse. This is important, only these three are important, particularly these two. Why this is important is, when you read a statement, okay, they will tell you a rate constant for a given reaction is so much, and then they will ask you something else, but they won't tell you the rate. And most of the time I have seen students, they assume that it's first order, but you have to know what is the order of the reaction by looking at the units. If I tell you rate constant is so much, molarity per second, moles per liter per second, meaning I am talking about zero order. So, looking at the units, you can say what is the rate of a reaction, and you have to use appropriately. This has come once in NEET where many students assumed a zero order reaction to be a first order because they were careless to look into the units. Now we saw basically how to write a rate law. We will look into two specific cases, zero order and first order. For a zero order reaction, we know rate in general is rate constant times reactants. For zero order, it is going to be 0. That's a pretty straightforward one. For a first order, rate equals K reactant to the power 1. Now this is simple. Now what we can do is we can write a differential rate law. We can write rate as minus of dr by dt, the change in rate of reactant equals K times this. Same you can do, but differential rate laws are not used for calculations. We will go into integrated rate law. We will jump to the final version of it. At any given time, at time t, the concentration of reactant equals concentration A0 minus Kt. Okay. This is for a zero order, whereas for a first order, concentration is R at time 0 e to the power minus Kt. Obviously, this is not going to be useful for us because there is a term E in there. So, we can do ln on both sides. So, this will give you ln of RT equals ln of R0 minus Kt. Now, we can use this to plot a graph. Now, if you plot a graph, we can have y equals mx and this is b. Here I can have y equals mx and b. So, if I plot it for a zero order reaction, okay, I am going to plot it versus time and minus k, the slope is going to be negative. So, it is going to be negative right here and this is going to be RT. At time equals 0, this is going to be R0 and coincidentally my R0 is my intercept, my slope is minus k, or k equals minus of the slope. So, this is zero order reaction. For a first order, if we use this time versus RT, you would have this. So, this would be R0. Now, this is an exponential slope. It is useful. It's useful for a graphical side. For a calculation side, I would use this one. If I use an integrated rate law, I can plot my time versus ln of R. Now, I'll get a line this way. So, this is going to be at time 0 and this is going to be slope is minus k. Now, what is useful from this graph is a straightforward question pattern comes in NEET and JEE. A straight line for a zero order is obtained from, they can ask you 4 different ones, RT versus T, ln RT versus T, whereas that's for first order, or some other options. Okay, so you need to be able to remember. Do not try to memorize the graph. If your math is good, just remember these. You will be able to just quickly draw right beside the exam, right beside the question. You can just draw and see which is going to be the useful one. Okay, otherwise there is not going to be much of a mathematical calculation. We can do one more. What I can do is I can bring all of them this side. For a first order, ln of RT minus ln of R0 equals minus Kt. Okay. So, I can flip the whole thing here, minus plus plus. ln A minus ln B. Ln works such a way that ln A minus ln B is ln of A by B. So, ln of R0 divided by RT equals Kt. That tells me I can have one more graph. This is time. This is going to be a zero intercept because we have y equals m x plus 0. So, this is going to be 0 intercept. This is going to be ln of R0 by this. Straightforward. Okay. These are the graphs you want to remember. Do not try to memorize them. Have a understanding and be able to draw whatever you want.
Here's a summary of the graphs I just drew. You don't have to remember for second order. For NEET, second order is not included in the syllabus. JEE Mains, occasionally it comes. JEE Advanced has second order in its syllabus. Now, a differential rate law is extremely simple. Going to the concentration versus time profile, if you can see, for orders other than zero order, it is going to be an exponential decay, and the shape of the decay is going to be dependent on the order. But anyways, if you see, it's going to be linear profile when the concentration is plotted versus time for a zero order. Everything else is exponential. Just remembering that is more than enough. The integrated rate law. Again, you don't have to worry about drawing any of this. The file that includes these graphs is posted in Google Drive, and the link is posted in the YouTube description below. You can go ahead and download it. I say it's a good idea to download it for almost all lectures, whatever I post, before you start the lecture. The integrated rate law is given here. You want to remember the integrated rate law for sure for a zero order and first order. They do come very often in calculation part itself. The integrated rate law can be plotted for concentration versus time or ln concentration versus time. I cannot stress it enough that you want to remember this particular formula or this formula. You can derive this from this one. You want to remember this. Almost always you have one question based on this formula every other year in NEET. So do in JEE Mains. Now if you see here, at least for second order, know what is your intercept. That's more than enough. If you're plotting 1 over concentration, then the intercept is going to be 1 over concentration at time 0. The relative rate versus concentration is nothing but what happens to the rate when you double or triple the concentration of the reactant. This being a zero order reaction, doesn't really matter how many times I take the reactant. The order is 0, so the rate doesn't change. Whereas our first order reaction is a linear profile. I double the concentration, the rate doubles. I triple the concentration, the rate triples. Your second order reaction, the graphs is not included, but this kind of problem is included. Basically what happens is, if you change the concentration by x times, the rate responds by x to the power 2 times. If it is a third order reaction, you change the concentration by x times, the rate responds by doing x to the power 3 times. So in general, the rate is proportional to x to the power order. Now here I have summarized my half-life. Half-life we assume to follow in the same lecture. But anyways, at least now that we have the formula, a couple of things you want to see here is the half-life is basically proportional to concentration to the power 1 minus n. So if n is 0, 1 minus 0 is 1, so this T half is proportional to initial concentration for a zero order. And for a first order, 1 minus 1 is 0, so it is not dependent, and the second order is, and second order is going to be inversely proportional. You want to remember this formula. This formula comes in calculation. And also one more important point, the T half of a first order does not depend on concentration. Units of rate constant we have just seen. Now going back to our integrated rate law right here, as I told you, it's extremely important. There is one particular pattern of question that comes in NEET many times. Basically what happens to the change in concentration at two given times. So how many ever times you take, the rate constant is not going to change unless you change the temperature. So basically you keep the rate constant as a constant and you equate it. Let's look at the pattern and derive a formula based on that.
Let's say initial concentration is A. Used is X. So I can have K equals 1 by T ln of A by A minus X. A is initial, X is used up, so the leftover after time T is A minus X. I can take care of my ln as 2.303 log A by A minus X 1 by T. This is an important expression you want to remember. For a same reaction at two different conditions, two different concentrations or two different time, it doesn't really matter. As long as you don't change the temperature, rate constant doesn't change. If rate constant doesn't change, at two different times, what we can have is, it's the same thing, K is going to be same, 2.303 log of A by A minus X at time 1 divided by T1 equals 2.303 log of A by A minus X at time 2 at T2. This is going to be a useful expression in NEET and JEE mains. So many times this has come. Some people, if they don't want to confuse, you can put this as y, a minus y. This can be a minus x. Okay. Now 2.303 cancels out. They'll give you the time. They'll give you how much is used up. For example, let's say a reaction is done 50%. Okay, T half. T half is given. You put the number here. 50% means A divided by 50% is used up, meaning A minus x is going to be 50% of A. So this is going to be A by 0.5 A is 2. Or let's say 30% is done. So let's say 30% is done. So I have 1 by T1 log of A by 30% is complete. The reaction 30% is complete means 70% is left over. A minus x is 70. So 0.7 A equals, I can do some other time, 1 by T2 log of, the reaction is 65% complete. So A divided by 65% is complete means A minus x is left over. X is 0.65, A minus x is 0.35 A. See, A's cancel out. Okay. You have the log values. These are pretty straightforward. Okay. T values, one of the T could be given, one of the T could be asked. Straightforward. Most of the time they give you one particular pattern where T half is given and asked what is the time it needs for so much to take care or so much will be used up. That's one pattern. The other one that they ask you is they can give you T half and say after so many minutes how much of it is be left over or how much of this will be consumed. Left over would be A minus x, consumed will be x. So basic pattern. You would have seen what is in half-life in physics as well. Basically the time it takes for a reaction to be completed 50%, that's all. So it is denoted by the symbol T half. So for a zero order reaction, T half equals, we'll stick with the same symbol, R naught by 2K. Whereas for a first order reaction, it is going to be ln by K, ln2 by K, or ln2 is 0.693 by K. Straightforward formula. What you need to remember is a T half for a first order reaction does not depend on the initial concentration of the reactant, whereas T half for a zero order will depend on the initial concentration of the reactant. In general, for any order, T half is proportional to initial concentration to the power 1 minus n. So, zero order is n is 0, 1 minus 0 is 1, proportional to r. First order, 1 minus 1 is 0, which T half is not proportional. So, this is 1. So, no relation between r naught and T half. This is something you want to know. Now, you can look into another pattern where they might tell you, let's say T half is 30 minutes, how much of this will be left over after 5 hours? There are formulas you can use in physics if they tell you it's first order or any order, for example. What I always do is you can use logic. So, total time given divided by T half will tell you how many cycles have gone. So, here 5 hours, 5 hours you can take it as 5 times 60 minutes divided by 30 minutes, 10 cycles have gone. So 10 T halves have gone. So how much has it gone through? So 100 would have gone to 50, 50 would have gone to 25. We will actually, there is a formula for a first order kinetics, we will deal it on the problem side. But these are the basic patterns you are going to see in respect to order of the reaction and also calculation of your initial concentration, final concentration or relation to your K value. Again, I cannot stress it enough. I don't have to tell you it is zero order or first order. I can disguise it in terms of the units of the rate constant given. You should be able to be careful to know which one you have to use.